Okay, we're starting at the end of what's been cleared for the old Catholic cemetery off Old County Road in Thomaston, Maine. Starts here with a base stone, no headstone around it to be found. A footstone, like M-E-B. This was a early Irish Catholic mission from 1852 into 1975 when it was sold. This would be the original gravesite of Private Patrick Crowley of the 4th Maine Volunteers, who died in Washington, May 29th, 1864, of wounds received in the Battle of the Wilderness. Some of his documents actually show that he died in the Battle of Spotsylvania. They later died of an infection, and then he actually died on June 10th, 1864, in the final adjudicated claim for his widow, Mary Ryan Crowley, who received his pension, and burial cards indicate that she was buried out here somewhere as well. And as an old Thomaston historian, Lee Morris, said, Patrick's sons were buried next to him, and a ground-penetrating radar here suggests he's still resting here with his children. I think you have old prune marks from where this place was cleaned up for a long time. The Courier-Gazette, the local newspaper, came here and they did a story. And it was a neighborhood kid who found Patrick's headstone. The place was very much overgrown even then. And they came and cleaned it up. And then 15 years later, it was sold. And it seems to have been fenced off a long, long time ago. Maybe these were the original, fence posts, or number them out there. Patrick was known to be very close to the road. This is Old County Road. This is directions if you're heading to Rockland. So the photograph was taken right about here. And the route, you can see there, it appears to be in the picture as well, with 4 gentlemen standing behind the headstone. And this is Brewster. And he comes out here often. He keeps an eye on things. And he's ready to go. It's actually getting kind of cold. So I've really encouraged the state, numerous boards, to get qualified archaeologists out here and check this place out. Because here's the controversy, is that there's a doctrine called once a cemetery, always a cemetery, until it is officially recorded, and that no headstones remain on the grounds, and it's been certified. It's quite a weird process. It doesn't happen very often, but I've cleared some of this area to go where I've located some of the headstones out here, and underneath the dirt here was this headstone, and there's the base stone for Anne McNeil. So she died at 21 years old in 1861. 21 years old. So, she's not alone out here. And we'll keep going. And eventually we'll end up to where you can park and, take a look. And this is famine era. So a lot of these would be unmarked. These were pretty destitute people that were coming here for work in the quarries, in the shipyards, and pretty common of other cemeteries in New England, Irish ones from that era. Just really have a large number of unmarked graves, especially from the infant mortality rate, really high, the Irish. So we're going to kind of keep walking here a little bit. And we're getting close to an area that was a barn that was turned into a church. It was written about in Adeline Bushnell's book Tide Road, and kind of brings an era to life in her book of what these grounds were. It's just the grave of Ellen Cronin, died August 3rd, 1870, age 60 years. So, research on her doesn't say much other than she was a widow. And, there's a lot of common things here, too. People with no family left to look after the graves, they kind of disappear, overgrown. Like, look how overgrown the place is. But there are, beautiful apple trees like that one. That's a really old apple tree. You come out here in the fall, and there's just a lot of apples, more of them back in there in the meadows towards the mine. So it's very close to the mine. And this would be a really ornate grave of Peter Burge. Probably one of the later burials, 1871. Not long after this, they established another cemetery about a mile in that direction, called it's on Erin Street, St. James Cemetery. The burial started there not long after Peter died. And after about 20 years of use, the church that was here, go look at it, see some of the foundation. A lot of the reasons they didn't build here is because the grounds, as you can see, are kind of wet. Especially this time of year. We've got coming up on April 1st soon. But some down there lining up along under the brush is the foundation of the church that was taken down in 1865. See some of the stones back in there, collapsed in. Another grave over there with no names on it, or it could be an old base. It does get dry in there to cross through around June, July. This was also, before it was a Catholic mission, it was the town's poorhouse for about 15 years. There is a walkway under here with some stones that does lead back to some apple trees. Peter Burge's grave is very close to what you're going to see over here, which are the remains, excuse me, more of the foundation that goes around here. So, in Adeline Bushnell's book, she actually mentions, it fictionalizes that this was actually burned down. But historical facts written by Cyrus Eaton, who wrote the history of this area during the Civil War, he said it was actually just taken down instead of building a church here, because it was now pretty much a full-time cemetery, occupying almost all of the grounds now. This looks like maybe it would have been a well. You're right behind the church here. Well, that kind of goes down, maybe collapsed in. Because I'm looking here flush, you can see how it kind of really caves down. Not entirely stable, so I don't want to be crying for help out here. Maybe Brewster will help me. My hand's shaking a little. It's just kind of cold out here. Looks like maybe a piece of it kind of keeps going. More stones down in there. And it kind of runs directly west. So this section here would be facing east. The history of the place also notes some disinterments in the 1930s. This looks like this would probably be a pretty good candidate for one spot. Get a mound right over there. Maybe that supported a base or something, but There's, the grounds have been through a lot, historically. Poorhouses often have burials for indigent, mentally ill, maybe, no family, maybe buried back in there somewhere, more of them. Place is almost 10 acres, so, someone else has come out here, put markers up where they found graves. So sometimes you see collapses down there in the grounds. It's usually, these are wet grounds, it wouldn't take long for a casket to collapse quick. And everything, what's left of the body, generally, mineralizes. Except for the teeth kind of stay there and like little fossils. So it's been that long. Maybe that's what this place is full of. And I guess they call them shadow figures, because your body is just a mineral deposit at that point. There's some surviving bones like femurs and teeth, But this is the way out. So we're now leaving. That's somebody else who has gone in there to do that. But actually, really quick, back in there, the stone collection. Up in there were the remains of the actual poor farm housing. And it was had about 20 rooms for multiple people, as the record from Eaton notes. So this looks to be almost, I'm not sure, but like a large pit for trash pit, Kind of looks like it kind of goes down, collapsing down. It's quite large and rises on the other end. I don't know. Or it was made when they were knocking bulldozing stuff later in the decades, who knows. But it looks pretty intact on the other side of the fence here. So once you get in the fence here, you're actually really into the original grounds, But here, close, there's a parking lot. That's where we're about to go. And that has been changed over time. Once the meadows were once a place of like beet fields and other produce. It was quarried, so they changed the configuration for larger construction vehicles to pass through. So they filled in up here a little bit. We're walking our way out to the parking lot. See my truck there through the brush. A lot of trash. Main, it's a busy road. So in here, starts to get filled in, drops down a little bit here, and then filled up on this side. For this entryway, which is, people park here, but that gate back there is the entryway to the pit. You can see the tower of the kiln that burns lime. And that's what they mine out of here, is lime rock. So this is it. Pass through these stones. A little muddy. Pass through that little area there, and you can go check it out if you want.